Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Ishi, you are in Ishi Time, and today I am here to make some enemies by roasting a series that is very loved on the booktube community. So this is part 1 of my July wrap-up. I read a total of 18 books in July, which is crazy, and I have already filmed my entire wrap-up, but it just ended up being too long, so I decided to split my wrap-up into 2 videos. Books I did not like and books I liked. Fortunately, most of the books I read in July I ended up liking, so this video only has 4 books in it. I think videos like these are usually preceded by disclaimers such as, this is my own opinion, you definitely do not have to share my opinion. If you disagree with me, I totally respect that, and I'm not personally attacking you. I did not want to seem petty and immature for just ranting about books that I did not like, so I did try to argue my position in a mature and reasonable way. So if you have any unreasonable and immature hate, please take that somewhere else. Anyways, let's get right into this video. First, we have Viper by Bex Hogan, which I gave a sad 1 star. This book is about a girl named Marianne who is destined to become a Viper, which is a protector of the 12 Isles. Her father is the current Viper. He also hates her and is trying to do everything he can to make sure that she does not become the next Viper. So our main character is strong and she is very independent, and I love the character herself, but I do have a problem with the writing style of the book. This book is told in first person, and the way the author kind of writes in the voice of this character is so annoying to me. The author never shows, always tells. There are so many info dumps, so much redundant information that is being thrown at us from all angles that you don't really know what to do with all that information. And the author literally explains every teeny tiny detail of the book, even things that you as a reader are smart enough to figure out yourself, which I just found to be very annoying. This book is entirely plot driven, which means that the characters were neglected. I think I would like this book more if the plot and the characters were equally developed. New characters are introduced left and right, only to be killed off in the next scene, so you never really get connected to anybody, and you don't want to connect to anybody because you know they're gonna die if they ain't the main character. And the love interest is a childhood best friend who grew up and started acting like an absolute asshole towards the main character, and there is a reason for it. It's explained, but like, did I like it? No. Overall, I did like the plot, but the characters were so subpar and the writing style was so terrible that I just could not enjoy this book at all. Next, I am so terrified to put this opinion out there because this is a very beloved series on the booktube community, I feel like. But Every Heart a Doorway by Shannon McGuire, which I have given 2 stars. This book is about children who went to magical lands, but they are now back in the real world, and they have to deal with being back in the real world, so they are sent to this home for wayward children where they meet other kids who also have returned from their magical journeys. I loved the premise of these books, and I loved the covers, and I was so excited to read them because they offered a new and interesting twist to the fairy tales that we already know. So I was really looking forward to reading them, but I was very disappointed. My biggest problem with this book was the way that diversity was represented. And before I say anything else, I want to make clear that diversity in books is important. Every minority group deserves to be represented in the books that they read, but the way diversity is handled in this book is just not it. There was this one character whom I loved from the moment he was introduced, and I was looking forward to getting to know him, getting to know his hopes and dreams, and we find out that he's a trans guy, and suddenly his entire character is just reduced to him being a trans guy. Like, there's nothing else about him that we know that's important other than the fact that he's a trans guy. There's a Japanese character, there's a Mexican American character, there's an asexual character, which is great. Representation is great, but not when the entire character is just reduced to that one trait the author is trying to represent. I really wish Shannon McGuire would have put more effort into helping readers understand who these characters really are, instead of putting them in their little diversity box. Next, we have Down Among the Sticks and Bones by Shannon McGuire, which is book 2 in the Wayward Children series, which I have also given 2 stars. And this book is a Jack and Jill retelling. We already know Jack and Jill from Every Heart a Doorway, and in that book, Jack had a little rant which went on for 1 paragraph about her backstory. This book is that 1 paragraph stretched until it fit into 180 pages. Like, there's nothing new we find out by reading this book that we already didn't know after reading the first one. Jacqueline and Jillian are born a good 50 pages into the story. Everything before that was just backstory about their parents. Also, the personality and the actions of these parents are exaggerated to the point where it's almost cartoonish, and I can't really take them seriously anymore. Like, no adult with half a brain acts like these parents do. Anyways, when they're about 12, which is like halfway through the book, is when their journey starts, and they fall into this magical place called the Moors. And this is a terrible, terrible place, and they could basically die around every corner. Jill is seduced by this vampire who says he wants to adopt her as his daughter, but it's like very weird. And Jack becomes an apprentice to this mad doctor. And I just find it very hard to believe that these two little kids, like 12, 13, would rather live in this terrible, terrible, horrible, and scary world rather than just look their parents in the eyes and say, hey mom, I don't want to wear dresses, or hey dad, I don't want to play soccer anymore. Like, what kind of kid would sign up for that nightmare? This book is also very preachy. I have never been preached to this much in my entire life, even in church. The author has an agenda in this book, and it is to tell you that parents should not tell their kids what to do, and that kids should be able to decide everything that they want to do by themselves, which are all fair and valid points, and I agree with all of them. I just want to make that clear, that I agree with what the author is trying to preach to me, but it could have been done with more tact. Like, it could have been integrated into the story in a more subtle manner, could have been slipped in here and there, instead of just telling the reader straight up to their faces. This book just broke every single rule of show, not tell. I just didn't like this book, and I don't know if I read a completely different book than the one BookTube has been raving about for a really long time. Like, I don't get the hype. The next book I have is Beneath the Sugar Sky by Shannon McGuire, which is the third book in this Wayward Children series. And this was my least favorite out of all of them, and I gave it only 1 star. The other books in the series, I still enjoyed their plots, but this one? So the synopsis on the front cover talks about a girl named Rinny who must save her mother and must save the world. So, like a normal person, I figured that this Rinny character was our main protagonist. But no, what even is a main protagonist? We don't have one of those in here. Like, I literally don't know who the main protagonist is. This book, like the others in the Wayward Children series, is told in a third-person omnipresent point of view, and in just the first 3 pages, we are inside the head of 3 different characters. None of them is this girl that we learned about in the synopsis. There is no chapter break when we jump from one character into another character. I found myself having to reread paragraphs just to reorient myself so that I know that I'm no longer in this person's head, I am now reading through this person's point of view. And it was just all very confusing and made no sense at all. Like in the first book, the author crams a lot of representation in this book. And like in the first book, she doesn't really take the time to flesh out these characters and just reduces them to that one trait she's trying to represent. To show you what I mean, I happen to be Indian, but that's not all I am. I am someone who loves writing and drawing and am not great at cooking, and I love martial arts. So like, if someone were to talk about me, and if all they said was, oh, she's Indian, her parents are Indian, her sister is Indian, her mom makes great Indian food, she visited India over the summer, she was born in India. Like, if that's all they think of me, I'm gonna be very mad because that's not all who I am. That's what this author does. There's literally nothing else about these characters that I know other than that one thing that she just kind of goes on and on about in this whole book. It honestly seems to me like she sat there with a checklist trying to get as much representation in her books as possible. She's like, trans character? Check. Mexican character? Check. Japanese character? Check. Asexual character? Check. Character with no arm? Check. These characters actually had a lot of potential, and I really liked most of them, but the fact that they're just reduced to that one thing kind of takes away from who they are as a person, and I just didn't like that. It honestly just seems to me as if the author tried to cram a lot of representation in here just so readers are gonna pick up her book because it has representation in it, but then she never really makes the effort to represent these minority groups well. And that just kind of pissed me off. Like, I'm so heated right now just talking about this. That is all I have for this video. Please like and subscribe if you want. My name is Ishi. Thank you for spending time with me, and I hope your day is as wonderful as you are.